Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Charlie Starr, and today we're going to talk about the fire signs. Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Okay, so I'm a fire sign, so I kind of saved the best for last. Whoop, whoop. But I mean, I love all the other signs. Honestly, I really do. But we've already done the 3 earth signs, the 3 water signs, and the 3 air signs. And now we're going to get into the 3 fire signs. So as you probably already know, quick overview, the zodiac wheel is subdivided into 12 different signs, and there are 4 ancient elements, of which each sign is going to be one of those ancient elements. If you want to know a little bit more about the ancient elements, I'll post a link to the video that I did about it right here, so you can go ahead and watch that if you don't have like a basic working concept of the 4 elements. So the 4 elements in the zodiac wheel, they do not include the 5th element of consciousness, because consciousness expresses itself throughout the other 4 elements. So today we're going to talk about the fire elements. All that being said, okay, what is the fire element? A little bit about the fire element. Fire is the vital life force. So Aries is the vascular system, our peripheral vascular system, and our blood, our lifeblood. And it also rules the head. So this is like a very like hot-headed energy, and I love it. And then the next sign is Leo, and Leo is also, of course, a fire sign, and Leo rules the heart. So this is literally the cardiovascular system, and this is our life force, and we need it to be like consistent all the time, right? It's a fixed sign. So Aries is the cardinal, Leo is fixed, and then Sagittarius, the last fire sign, is mutable. What does this mean? These are different modalities to describe which part of the season they're from, and it also describes the energy that they have. So Cardinal is going to be going in one direction. It's increasing over time. It's the first of spring, so the first month of a season is going to be Cardinal, and the Cardinal fire sign is Aries. And then Leo is fixed. It's right in the middle of summer. It's just like boom, 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 steady. It's the same at the beginning, and it's the same at the end of the season. And then mutable is the energy where you're moving from one season to the next season. And so that is a little bit more of an energy that can go in multiple directions. And that is Sagittarius, is the mutable fire. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into the fire signs. Okay, Aries, I'm trying not to be redundant in these videos. I want to give you information that isn't going to be like the exact same information that you're going to receive, from any other video on YouTube or any other quick like research of like what does Aries represent. I really want to give you a kind of like unique and like complex understanding of the sign from my perspective and experience, right? So Aries, real quick though, just some basics. Aries is obviously a fire sign. We're only talking about the fire signs. Aries, their totem is the ram. Why? Because rams fight with their heads. Oh, this is my little kitty. Little cute Wumple. Anyway, excuse my naked cat. He likes to be in the, spotlight. I think he might be part Leo, like maybe a Leo moon or Leo rising. We're not really sure, but he is a cat and Leos are cats. But anyway, we're not talking about Leo. We're talking about Aries. Aries is the ram, and rams fight with their horns. So Aries rules both fighting and also the head. So this is ruled by Mars. Mars is the god of war, and Mars is also the seed. So this is the most virile, most potent, most direct, most aggressive, most what's another way to describe it? It's just a very confident, very, very, very confident, clear-cut, youthful energy. So Aries and then also Leo, they both have like a youthful energy. And so Aries talks about, like, the card for Aries in the tarot deck would be, like, some people say it's the Emperor. I wildly 100% disagree. The Aries energy is the Fool. This is the energy that just like starts out at the beginning. Like, it doesn't even have a number in the tarot deck. It's the first. It's the 0 is the number for the Fool, right? Because there's this energy about Aries being the first in the zodiac wheel that is just pure lifeblood, and it's just pure passion, and it's just like, here I am, I'm here to experience the world, and I'm here to like go places and do things and see things and like live my life, and I'm going to set all these goals because I'm going to have all these experiences, and I'm just like on fire, and I'm passionate, and I'm here for it. And like, Aries doesn't know what they don't know. Like, that's the thing of the Fool card, which is, it's just pure like youth energy. It's that energy that everybody longs for as they get older and they become more jaded and bitter and tired. Is like, they long for like the passions of youth. And that is what Aries is, like the passion, the fire of youth, and like energy just in general. So this is the spirit that keeps us alive. This is the spirit that makes us feel that life is worth living. This is the energy that you don't have enough of if you're depressed. So there's a lot to be said for Aries. So some of the ways that I've seen this like come into play, like express itself. Young Aries love to argue because they're ready to like come against you. Where is this coming from? Okay, so Aries isn't necessarily there to battle and to argue, but they are headed on their little path, and they're not thinking about your agenda or what you want or what the problems might be that arise. Like, Aries is just like, here I am, like, here's what I'm doing, and that's it. And so when people like come across their path, it's not really the Aries going looking for problems or for fights. But when people come across Aries' path, it's kind of like, I was just minding my own business and I was just going here, and now you're standing in the way. So like, now I'm going to have to fight you because like the only way forward is through you. Okay? Because like, there's so many people in Aries life that, you know, are like further along, and they're like, no, Aries, you have to listen to me. No, Aries, you have to do this. You have to do that. You can't do this. There's a lot of can'ts that are thrown at Aries. And Aries is ready to challenge that. Like, what do you mean I can't do that? Like, who are you to tell me what I can and can't do? I'm sorry, that's your limiting belief, not mine. So Aries is ready to like take on those challenges. And they haven't been, of course, everybody's so much more complex than one sign. So I'm not saying that this blanket statement is true of all Aries. What I'm trying to describe is the Aries energy, wherever that manifests in your chart, okay? So the Aries energy has not really been hurt before, and so they don't like know to be careful, or they don't know where there's danger. So like, the thing that I also see like a lot people with a lot of Aries doing is they are looking for the thrill. They're looking to take risks. They're very bold and aggressive when they're not going to be conservative when it comes to risk taking. And I love that about Aries. It's so admirable. This also leads them to like do like things that other people think are really dumb sometimes because like they're dangerous. So they may be like, what do they call, like, oh yeah, adrenaline junkies. So they're going to go fast around a corner. They might love roller coasters. They might love skydiving. They might love like even arguing. They can get off on because like there's a buildup of energy when you're arguing with somebody, right? And Aries is a cardinal sign, so it loves to become more of what it is. It's moving in one direction, and that is the Aries direction. So this is what makes Aries kind of wild, kind of like completely energizing to a lot of people, and what can also be like causing conflict with a lot of Aries people, because they don't take kindly to being told that they can't do something, or that they're wrong, or that they're going down the wrong path, or something of that nature. So Aries can sometimes get a reputation for being rebellious, but they're not trying to come up against anybody usually. It's just that you're the one that's coming up against them. So like, you need to get out of the way, right? So another thing about Aries that I absolutely love is they are brutally honest. right? Like, so this is one thing that always attracts me to Aries, is that I feel like with Aries, you know, of course, there have been exceptions based on like where Aries is and how that person is choosing to express and what the person's other signs and like complexities are. But for the most part, the thing that I love about Aries is that I always feel like what you see is what you get. They have no reason, because this is a young energy. It's like, think of a child. A child is going to say their truth without fear because they haven't learned that there's negative repercussions socially for not saying what is their truth, or for you know, they're not trying to like please anybody. They're just honestly being true and being authentic. And so with like a child can say really offensive things, and we're just like, oh, that's so embarrassing, like, I'm sorry that my kid just said that. um, but the thing is, that's also the thing that's lovable about a child, because they're not fake like a lot of adults are. They're real, they're honest, they're going to tell you their authentic truth. And that's the thing that is so attractive about Aries to me, is that they are real. What you see is what you get. They're going to deliver the truth just as they see it. I don't ever have to feel with an Aries that there's something that they're not saying, that they're afraid of saying, that they're hiding their true feelings. A lot of the signs further down the zodiac wheel have a lot of barriers. And that's for like reasons, you know, like as we learn the complexities of living this life on earth, we learn that we have to protect ourselves, and we learn that we have to, you know, operate and behave in a certain way in order to win the acceptance of our peers, and, you know, make it in different situations and scenarios. And these are like survival skills that we learn, and communication skills that we learn, right? So this is something that Aries can learn from Libra, which is their opposite sign, which is that Libra is seeking to communicate in a way that brings people together and always brings harmony and balance. Whereas like Aries, because it's such a young sign, it's just speaking their truth, and there's not like as much of an awareness about how what they're saying may be impacting, may sound to the other person, right? And again, like it's not out of malintent. I've never met an Aries that is like conniving or devious or trying to like hurt people with their words at all. So this is an energy that may be like more or less like attractive to you, and also as Aries gets older, right? So like a young Aries is going to be this way in spades, but as they get older, they themselves become more complex and more learned and more social and more refined. And so a older Aries generally is more mellow about this. So Aries is a goal setter. And this is so great. Like Aries is so on fire about what it is that they want to do, and they will set so many goals for themselves. Like when you think of yourself at the beginning of the year, like what do people, we celebrate the beginning of the year in like the middle of winter. It's really dumb. We should, it's really dumb. It's kind of messed up system. But Aries is the beginning of the zodiac year. And so at the beginning of the year, whenever you celebrate that, like most people are setting goals, right? They're like, oh, this year I wanted this, and this year I wanted that. And you know, they have like these new resolutions and the New Year's resolutions and intentions, and there's like all these exciting things. And Aries is like that too. So Aries are, unless they have like another placement or major sign that's mitigating this, they are generally very goal-oriented people. Their ability to stay on track with those goals varies with their life experience, and also with, again, what other signs they have. But the Aries energy is not necessarily like always the staying power. This is one thing that I've seen Aries be accused of. I don't know if I've seen it as much myself, and I don't know if that's because the Aries that I know have placements that help them out with this, or if it's just a false accusation, but because there's not like a fixed, because Aries is not a fixed sign, sometimes their goals can happen just like a lot of people's New Year's resolution, where they'll like make a goal and they'll be really excited about it for 2 weeks, and then they kind of like fizzle out. Because a lot of the times, like what I've heard Aries being likened to is like a match. So it's the first start of a fire, and it's like it immediately produces like a hot flame, but then it can burn out quickly. And that's where when we get into Leo, which is the staying power of the fire. But yeah, I don't know. Take that with a grain of salt, because like I said, I haven't seen too many Aries not execute on their goals, but I have seen a lot of Aries that really have a lot of goals and are pretty fired up about them. So if you're an Aries, let me know in the comments below about what you feel like your staying power for your goals are, and if there's any reasons why you think that you may be different from the rest of the Aries about that, or whether you think that Aries have no problem sticking with their goals, let me know. Okay, Leos, let's talk. The one thing that I will start out by saying that is kind of like foundational to this sign is the life question of the Leo is, who am I? So Leo is a sign of the identity, and it's also the sign of the ego, because Leo has this fundamental question underlying everything that they do from the moment that they're born, which is, who am I? And this leads to a lot of theatricality and playfulness, because this is how children find who they are, is through play. They pretend. They're playing pretend. They're going to play pretend here, play pretend there. A lot of Leos are very attracted to theater. Why? Because you get to try on a bunch of different identities, a bunch of different hats, and also you're in the spotlight, which is naturally where Leo wants to be, or naturally where Leo finds themselves to be, whether they want to be or not, because Leo is ruled by the sun. The sun is, the exalted luminary in the middle of summer, so it's a fixed sign. So it's just this constant like blaze of light, and it seems to follow Leo wherever they go. There is a whole bunch of like leadership responsibilities and positions that are put on Leo, because people recognize Leo's natural leadership and assertion, and then put them in those positions, which then reinforces and strengthens that part of the Leo. So a lot of this theatricality and a lot of this answering the question of who am I, the Leo will like put on different identities and different hats. This is what the ego does. In order to answer that question, like, who am I? If I was to ask you who you are, could you really answer that question without your ego? Like, most people will answer the question by saying their name. Well, I'm sorry, your name is just some sounds that your parents gave you when you were born, and it probably changed at some point, like say when you got married, or some people just straight up change their name. So like that's not actually like who you are, that's just something that's assigned to you. And then who are you? You could attach yourself to your gender identity. You could attach yourself to your job position. You could attach yourself to your relationships. I'm a husband, I'm a wife, I'm a partner, I'm a good employee, I'm a father, I'm a mother, like whatever it is, we'll use relationships to define ourselves and answer the question of who we are. Who are you? Well, I'm, maybe you list off some personality traits, but you find that even within that, personality description, there's nuances, and that you're changing over time. So I encourage Leos to like answer this, continue to ask this question, and continue to pull off the masks of the ego and be like, nope, that's not consistently true about me. Nope, that's not consistently true about me. Because guess what? At the long line of asking the question of who you are, you realize that it's a game. And I mean, spoiler alert, you are not your ego. And eventually Leo will figure this out. This is the life path of Leo. You will learn that you are not your ego. So then who are you? Well, if you lose your ego, which is, people are going to debate me on this, but it's impossible to lose your ego in this life without going crazy. Like, in order to function in this world, you need your ego, which is like identity and like sense of self, unique sense of self in this world. This is like necessary in order to move about the world. But as with the freedom of knowing that you are not your ego, then you become not attached to your ego, and therefore you're not threatened by other people questioning it or by it changing. Okay, so this is an important thing for Leo to learn, and this is a thing that Leo will learn that is an Aquarius virtue, because Aquarius is the sign of freedom and non-attachment. And so when Leo learns to not be attached to their ego, then they find freedom, and then that opens up Leo to be all of the wonderful things about Leo that people love, like playfulness and just fun, vibrancy, and joy, and happiness, and self-love, right? Because when you're not trying to like rigidly attach yourself to like some specific ego identity, then it frees you up to like love yourself in all your fluid expressions. And when you are able to love yourself, then you serve as an inspiration for other people to do the same thing. Because one truth that Leo knows is that self-love is the best love that you will ever find, and nobody can replace that. It doesn't matter how well your partner loves you. If you don't love yourself, then you're going to be like an empty void, like a vortex, where you're trying to fill yourself up with the love of other people, and it becomes like this never-ending game. You're just like a bottomless pit of love, because that love actually has to be generated within yourself. When you think of the sun is the light of the world, and the sun really embodies in our physical world, the sun is the symbol for love. And so when you talk about the sun being the light of the world and God being love and God being light, this is the Leo essence. The sun gives life to the world, and the sun actually sacrifices itself for the world, because the sun is a ball of fire hurtling through outer space, and eventually it's going to die. It is burning itself up for the world. And so this makes the Leo be a very generous, a very warm, and a very like joyful, happy, giving energy when Leo is at its best. And it also teaches the lesson through inspiration that you are a light, and nobody has the right to take that from you. And like I said earlier, like the joy of loving yourself is something that Leo wants to give to other people. So Leo can give that to other people through inspiration. Leo will be a very generous lover, but Leo will also always want to encourage you to love yourself, because Leo knows that that's the greatest gift. What else about Leo? Okay, so talking about the sun being a sacrificing planet, I do feel like this comes into play with the Leo experience as well, because the sun is giving of itself for the earth. But a lot of the time Leo, and this comes back to the earlier stages of Leo when Leo is searching for their identity, is a lot of the time the hats that Leo puts on in order to answer the question, who am I, are hats of responsibility. So, I am this person because this is who my parents told me I need to be. That's how it may start out. And then it turns into, I am this person because that's who it is that my partner needs me to be. Or I am this person because I have a child and my child needs this from me. And so there's a lot that has to do with Leo, that has to do with responsibility and putting on a mask and playing a role, because that is what is needed from the people around us. So This is where it comes into play with royalty and being in the spotlight and being the celebrity sign, being the politician sign, and being the sign of kings and queens, because they're in the spotlight and they are, at first it looks like these people have everything and it's all about them. But people in those positions have a huge amount of responsibility because they are setting an example for the youth, like the celebrities. They have the attention of a lot of people, and how they use that. There's a huge responsibility on them for how they're going to use that audience, that stage space. Excuse me. And it's the same for anybody in a position of power or spotlight, where they have, say, like a lot of money or a lot of influence, or a king or a queen. They have a lot of authority. But why are they in those positions of authority? Like, why do we elect presidents? Why did we have kings and queens? Why do we give celebrities our attention? It's because we, as people, we need inspiration and we need leadership, and we need somebody who is going to take on a responsibility of making decisions that are for the good of all people. And so, like, while some people will look at Leo and say, like, oh, you're all about yourself, and like a bad ruler exploits their power for only their own personal gain. But a good ruler is a servant. A good king and queen is a servant of the population. Okay. So with that being said, all that has to do with Leo's responsibility. Leo is also the sign of the heart. So I will say that with different people's chakra system, different people have different auras. And in a lot of chakra talk, people, I'm going to do a separate video on this, but people kind of have this idea that your chakras should all be like the same even size, and that they should all be open, and that, you know, like people will meditate and do all this yoga to like try and get one chakra to be open if it's like constantly not being open enough, and, you know, maybe to try and like contain a chakra that's too big. No, maybe this is my Leo thing, because like I want people to be individual and to love themselves just the way that they are. But honestly, this is the true message. I think that it's okay that people's chakra systems are different from other people's. There's nothing wrong with you if your chakra is really big in one place and if your aura is really big in one place and really small in the other. This is not something that we should be judging. This is just differences that people have, and sometimes differences based on where they're at in that moment. But a lot of people, their chakra, even though it changes, their aura changes over time, some things remain fairly consistent. And when you have a chakra that is pretty open and you have a huge part of your aura that's radiating from that center throughout your life consistently, this is a spot where you are essentially like existing. It's like your consciousness is in this part of your aura. This is where you're containing your consciousness the most. This is where you're living. This is where your energy is the most you essence. And what I've noticed with a lot of Leos is this: Leo rules the heart, and a lot of Leos have a very, very big heart chakra. When I see a Leo with a smaller heart chakra, they're usually either burnout or just in fresh heartbreak, or they have over time realized like, hey, this really hurts to just have this open heart. I just feel like I'm bleeding out all the time because I'm just loving people so much, and it hurts so much because, like, I mean, let's face it, it's hard to go through life like loving people so deeply. And so eventually, like, some Leos can make the decision to harden their heart and close themselves off. And I think that this will be the death of the Leo, honestly. I remember when I was younger and I first started to have my heart, going through my first heartbreak, and I was like, oh my goodness, like I felt this tendency to just harden my heart and just close myself off from experiencing love and from feeling it and from wanting to express it, because Leo is a very expressive sign. So Leo, if Leo's feeling love, Leo wants to express it in some way. It's just automatic. And sometimes if that love is like, well, anyway, that's a whole nother topic. But love can really hurt. And I made the decision consciously. I remember thinking about it and being like, you know what? This is going to hurt me in the future. Again, this part of me. But I'm going to choose it anyway, because this is the person that I want to be. I actually love this about myself, even if sometimes it makes me feel vulnerable and scared and like in pain. Like, I would rather love, like the phrase, like, I'd rather love and lost than not loved at all. That's very true. And I've claimed that for myself. And I think that it's really important for Leos to stay true to themselves. I mean, this is probably good advice for everybody, but like, we are lovers, and it's good for a Leo to accept that about themselves. And yes, have boundaries with people. And yes, you know, if there's somebody that you need to not be in a relationship with because they're constantly hurting you, practice that self-love. Don't take that, you know, crap from other people, and, you know, walk away when you need to. I'm not talking about setting healthy boundaries or just choosing to like let people abuse you and use you. I'm talking about shutting yourself off from feeling invested with your heart into a relationship or relationships with people because you're afraid of that pain. That is going to hurt you more in the long run, even if it numbs you in the short term. Okay, let's talk about some of the criticisms with Leo. And I'll explain like a little bit about, you know, how it works for me being such a heavily Leo influenced person in my chart. So I read this meme that was like, it talked about how the different signs order pizza, and it was like, Leo orders a meat lover's pizza despite there being vegans in the group, just like expecting other people's needs, like other people to take care of their own needs, and just only thinking about themselves, I think was the criticism here. So this is what I will say, that people are drawn to Leos because they have decision fatigue, and they like the leadership, like assertive style that Leo possesses. Like, all the fire signs possess this leadership, this assertive leadership quality. But speaking as a Leo, like, people will be attracted to that. Like, a lot of people don't immediately, you know, speak their opinion, and they're not always in tune with what it is that they want. And it honestly would just be a huge burden off of them if you would just make the decision for them, and if you could just take control of the situation. And so, like, they know, like, even without me, like, expressing this at all, like, people will just be like drawn to this quality because that's what they want. And so then when I'm trying my best to be like, well, what it is that you want, and they're just like getting more stressed out over the fact that I'm asking the question, like, it's being pushed back on me, like, well, you decide what we're going to eat for dinner, or just you decide what we're going to watch, or like, you know, well, I mean, like, what do you want to do? Like, after a while, I'll get really tired of that dance, and I learn, like, okay, what people want from me is they want me to make a decision for them, and so they want me to take control and take charge of that. And this is actually like something that people consciously or subconsciously are seeking when they like want to be around me. So like, it's not that I'm not considering what you want, it's that like I've learned that you want me to be assertive and take control of the situation, and so I'm going to put a plan out there, and I'm just going to have faith and expect you, like, your part in this is to veto it and speak up if that's not what you want. Okay, so that is the requirement, that this is the quality that you need to have if you're going to be around another Leo, is that you need to speak up for yourself, and don't be salty if sorry, I'm getting a little bit of attitude right now, but don't be salty if I made a decision and it wasn't what you wanted and you didn't speak up about it. That's on you. Okay, so that's another thing, is that Leo takes the spotlight and shares their opinion. And if I am with you, if I'm investing in you, if I'm spending time with you, I think this is the Leo thing. If a Leo is spending time with you, they care what you have to say. They care what your opinion is, because Leo is not just a sign that's focused on the self in here. They're also focused on the self in other people. So there's this fascination that Leo has. I mean, it's why I'm into astrology. And also Carl Jung was a Leo, like, and you think he had Leo in his 7th house as well. But like, Leo's not just interested in the identity of themselves. They're also interested in the identity of somebody else. So I am very interested in how people's personality comes together, why people make the decisions that they do, why people have the identities that they have, how people feel about their identities, and what, you know, like, I'm not just going to want to know like what you want on your pizza, but I'm going to want to know like the story behind, like the nostalgic story like behind what your favorite pizza topping is. I'm very interested in that, but I'm expecting you to share that information, and it should be implicit that I want to hear it because I'm spending time with you. Like, obviously I care because I'm here. I had like my like Virgo friend like kind of criticize. I don't think she was criticizing me, but she was criticizing like somebody else, and she was talking about how like she didn't share her opinion because like they didn't ask, you know. And that was just like this foreign concept to me. Like, I was like, why should they have to, like, I get it, some people feel like they need you to ask, and that's something that I try to work on for myself, is that some people feel that they need permission to speak about themselves. And so I try to, you know, constantly affirm that permission by asking somebody about themselves. But what's really nice about being with another Leo is that we innately share. We know if you're spending time with me, if you're giving me attention, then that means that you want to know about me. And so I'm going to share what I want to share. And then, you know, I'll share what I have to share about myself, and then it's going to be your turn, and I'm going to be super interested in what you say and about you, and I'm going to like pass the microphone, right? Or pass the spotlight from me to you, and then it's your turn to share, and I'll listen to you. And then when I have something to say, I'm going to like jump in and share about me too. And so that's one thing that I absolutely love about like being with other Leos. But it's also a thing that Leos can get competitive about the spotlight. And also, like, if you have a Leo that's like hogging the spotlight and not willing to share, not willing to reciprocate that attention that you are giving that Leo, then the Leo that is giving that person the attention, the spotlight, can start to feel a little snubbed, right? Like, hey, you're a Leo, you should know that I have this need just as much as you do. So, and everybody has that need. Everybody has that need to be seen. And everybody has that need to feel like they have an audience that cares about what's inside of them and how they express themselves. And so honestly, like a lot of the time as a Leo, maybe this is a Leo moon thing because I have my moon in Leo, but this is how I seek to like love other people, is I spend quality time with them, and I'm interested in what's going on for them, inside of them on a deeper level, and the things that they care about and how they're feeling. I really care about that stuff, and I think part of that comes with the Leo heart. Okay, I feel like I've probably talked enough about Leo. Let's move on to Sagittarius. Okay, Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the third and final fire sign in the zodiac, and it is the mutable fire sign. So this sign is able to move from one area to another area with a little bit more flexibility and ease than the other signs. So if the question for Leo is who am I, the question for Sagittarius is what is true? And just like with the Leo, this question can be so significant and serious and big in a Leo's life that they may arrive to it prematurely. So like a Leo may attach themselves to their ego until the Leo learns to not attach themselves to the ego, then they become freed up to play and be a happy Leo. It's the same with Sagittarius with the question, what is true? So this question become so heavy and so serious and so big in the life of the Sagittarius, because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter has to do with higher knowledge and deeper truths and expansion that goes beyond what, honestly, what a human is even capable of containing, I guess is the right word. This is the truth that the knowledge, the understanding that surpasses all knowledge. This is really what Sagittarius is looking for. Is they want the big picture on life, and they want to understand things more thoroughly and more fully, and from the big lens perspective. They need that. They need those big answers in life. They have the big questions, right? Jupiter is about big expansion, and Sagittarius has the big questions about life. Very philosophical, very much higher education, very much foreign travel, because there's this desire for expansion. There's a desire for living larger than life. You know, the Sagittarius person may eat and drink the best food in large quantities. They may be world travelers. They may be like, obsessed with foreign cultures and people of different backgrounds from them. They maybe they're also teachers. Sagittarius is also the sign of the teacher. You'll find a lot of Sagittarius in college, universities, PhDs, master's programs. Like, these people love learning. Sagittarius absolutely loves learning, and they're a little bit different learning style than Gemini. Both Gemini and Sagittarius love to learn. Gemini is going to be a very quick, they're going to pick up on concepts quick. They're going to pay better attention to details. And also Gemini is satisfied with a little bit more of surface level of information about something before they will kind of be interested in another topic. That's how Gemini is immutable. It's a mutable air. Gemini is much more capable of multitasking, so they may have multiple like projects going on or interests that they dabble in. They may dabble in a lot of interests. Sagittarius is also mutable, but it doesn't usually look that way because of the depth of Sagittarius, the expansiveness of Sagittarius. Sagittarius doesn't just want to know a little bit about a topic. Sagittarius wants to like deeply, profoundly understand something. And so when Sagittarius is interested in something, they're going to go like deep in it. Like, they're going to go down the rabbit hole, and they're going to find more information about it than you have. Like, they're going to become the masters. This is like a master sign. They want to form mastery of a topic. And so they can become a lot more obsessive about the thing that they're interested in at that time. And it's usually more singularly focused for whatever it is that they're interested in, whereas like Gemini may be juggling multiple things at once. So Sagittarius can seem like they're not a mutable sign because they're so singularly focused on one thing. But then when they feel like sometimes it happens really suddenly, all of a sudden they feel like they've got a deep understanding of that, or a good enough understanding of that they feel like they can understand it pretty deeply. Then they might switch to being interested in another topic. And this can surprise people around Sagittarius because they may think like that, well, this person, they found what they love and they are going to love that for the rest of their life. And this is who they are. And Sagittarius themselves may feel that way. And it may be really surprising when all of a sudden that mutable part of Sagittarius kicks in and they switch over to a different interest over here, right? So that's something that I've noticed about the Sagittarius energy. So going back to the Sagittarius quest for truth and the prematurity with which Sagittarius sometimes arrives at these answers, just like Leo, because the question is so scary and so important, Leo sometimes arrives at the answer of who I am too quickly, which is with the ego. Well, with Sagittarius, they're seeking for truth, and because it's so scary, they sometimes arrive at the answer a little too quickly and too soon, and they don't allow for that flexibility of their beliefs over time and their philosophy over time, and they may like prematurely attach themselves to some answers to the big questions in life. So another place that you'll see Sagittarius, a lot of Sagittarius energy in is in organized religion, because organized religion seeks to answer these big questions, but they give a solid, like, sort of structure that's attractive to the mutable signs, but also it fixes on these answers being the same. Like, the, an established church has, like, this is what we believe, like, a lot of the time, and this is what our reality is, and that is, like, exactly what Sagittarius needs. Sagittarius needs to have those questions answered. The thing about I'm not saying that you can't come to these answers fully in church, but what I am saying is that Sagittarius may, like, be like, this is my truth. I decided it when I was 5. I said the sinner's prayer, and this is what it is. And now I'm afraid of any new information on this topic because I already know it's true. I'm really scared of this not being true. This has to be true. This is, like, pivotal. I've built my entire life on this truth. And this is the most important thing in the world to me. So, like, it's very scary for me to, like, think of anything else. So Sagittarius can be really black and white about some of the big questions that are important to Sagittarius, because they need to have that safety of the truth, like, being answered for them, if that makes sense. Because Sagittarius is the sign of the teacher, Sagittarius looks for a source. This is the sign of God. In the original Zodiac wheel, this is the 9th house, and the 9th house is called the house of God. And so this is, again, why people with Sagittarius energy are often religious, is because there is a search for God. There's a quest for God with Sagittarius. This is the place where people desire to become more than what they are. And there's a seeking for a source. And that creates the need for a teacher and a propensity, I would say, to, like, trust one source of truth over another. And so all of the fire signs share with each other is this sort of energy of, like, not being told. Like, they're all kind of rebellious. They're all kind of autonomous. They're all kind of, like, stick to what they know, and, like, this little flash of fire in their eyes if you're going to come against them and challenge it, right? They can't be told, is what I like to say about the fire signs. You can't tell a fire sign. They can't be told. That's not true, but it is true to an extent. And with Sagittarius, I'll go through Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius with this particular idea of they can't be told, because each fire sign is a little different with this. But with Sagittarius, the they can't be told happens to do with who's speaking. And if this is somebody that they've attributed to source, somebody they've attributed to truth, if you are this person's teacher, whether you're their pastor or their, religious leadership, or their, coven priestess, or they're even just, like, a teacher or a master that they admire within, like, their professional field, whatever it be, they have certain people or certain sources that they trust and be like, yes, thank you. You are my teacher. I am listening to you. If you are not in alignment with the source of truth that they have chosen for themselves, then they're probably just not even going to listen to you. Like, they're not even going to ask, because, like, they don't really want to hear about how you're living a lie. And they're not really going to, like, listen to you because you're not their teacher. So, like, that's kind of how it works for Sagittarius. Like, they can't be told. They can be told if you're their teacher. And then Sagittarius also wants to turn around and become a teacher. So I've seen a lot of Sagittarius be teachers. Okay. And this is where Sagittarius can learn from Gemini, because Gemini is really good at listening to a variety of sources. But anyway, so how can the other fire signs not be told? Leo cannot be told if you don't listen to them first. So if you're going to try and give advice to a Leo, if you're receiving information like they can't be told and they don't want to listen to you, it's probably because they don't feel like you've shown them the respect of listening to them, like on why they have made the decisions that they have made. So if you're going to challenge the decisions of a Leo, you need to first give them the respect by giving them the floor and asking them, honestly, asking to understand them and where they're coming from. And then at that point, then the Leo is going to be more than happy to hear your truth and what you have to share, especially if you're going to share it in the context of, this is the truth that's important to me and my identity, and this is how this advice that I'm giving you has worked out for me because this and this and this. So then it's not just like, oh, I'm telling you how to live your life and I'm not even listening to you and respecting your authority to make decisions for yourself. Like, it's then that what you're saying can be well received if you're sharing it like, hey, I really want to understand why you're making these decisions. I'm open to hearing it. And now, a lot of the time, then that person, then can share like, hey, this is what's worked for me. I know it's different than the choice you're making now, but I just want to share, my story and my truth. And that is something that a Leo is going to be listening to. So it's all about the way that you approach it with a Leo. With Aries, I would say Aries is probably the most, you would expect Sagittarius to be the most flexible because they're in the mutable sign, but Aries is actually the most flexible. And why? Because they're the first in the zodiac. So even though they're born with this like bold, aggressive, adventure spirit, they are also the most like moldable when it comes to different opinions or different pieces of information, because they have that like childlike open-mindedness that I would say Leo and Sagittarius don't naturally have. Aries does have that open-mindedness. And so when they come at you, like they're gonna come across as the most aggressive sign because they are just boldly telling you, well, this is true for me. And it may seem very defiant and very bold and very aggressive and very like, fight me, and some people are going to back away from that because they're going to be like, whoa, like I'm not trying to like step on any toes or anything. But like, if you actually engage in that combat with an Aries, you may be surprised because they are going to be the one to turn around. Like they may be, depending on if you have good arguments and, if you're being honest with them as the same way that they're being honest with you, then you may be surprised that Aries may be the first one to turn around and see things from your perspective, and you may even be completely shocked that that's happening. So that's funny because I think a lot of people don't realize that about Aries, is that they actually are very open-minded people. They're just expecting that same boldness back from you because they're just being honest and they expect you to be honest, and it's kind of like fun for them to debate sometimes. Leo, if a Leo is not listening to you, it's probably because they feel disrespected. They feel that you haven't listened to them or given them the time of day, and so why should you have any say over what they're doing with their lives? Go F yourself. That's kind of, if you can't be told by a Leo, it's probably because you've been disrespectful to them in that way. And then with Sagittarius, like I said, if you can't tell a Sagittarius, it's probably because you're not their teacher. You're not the right person for them to listen to. And so until they learn how, like from Gemini, we all have something to learn from our opposite sign. Until they learn from Gemini how to have conversations with people from different backgrounds and different belief systems, and until they learn to be a little more like intellectually open, then like don't take it personally from the Sagittarius. With Leo, it can be personal, but with Sagittarius, it's usually not personal. It's just that you're not the right source for them. So that's just on them, and there's probably not much you can do about it. Just respect that that's maybe like a topic that they don't want to get into with you. Okay? So I think that's it for the fire signs. Let me know if I forgot anything. I actually did record like all of this once already, and then I looked back on the footage and I'd forgotten to turn my mic on. So there may be a couple things that I forgot to like add in here because in my mind I already talked about them. So if there's something about your sign that you think that you would like me to address, or you think that I got wrong, or you think that I got right, or you think that, you know, you have something to amend, like, am I right about your sign? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.